Hello everybody! In this video I'm going to show you how to build a moss-based bone meal farm. This is an original design by yours truly. So I have to admit, it might not be the fastest farm on YouTube, but I like to think it's very cost effective. This will net you approximately 5 stacks of bone meal per hour when the bone meal reserves are full. You'll see what I mean later. This farm also has a pretty small profile, measuring at 15 by 9 by 14 blocks of space. So this is perfect for tucking away in a basement or something like that, wherever you want it, really. This farm should also work on all Java versions that include moss in them. All right, blah, 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 get on with it. Pause the screen, take notes. What I will say is these blocks up here, these 8 slots, they could be of any variation that you want, although I suggest that you keep your blocks non-flammable. You'll see why later. And then the glass doesn't necessarily have to be glass, but I like being able to see items flow around, so let's keep it glass. You also don't need 8 water buckets, just 8 water sources at some point. So you can just get 2 water buckets. And then you're going to need 9 blocks of garbage that could stack up to 64. Okay, so first part of the build is we're going to build a good old handy dandy hopper clock. I love these. Okay, so the basics of our hopper clock look like this. Pause if you must. All right, and then first I'm going to put down the redstone block there, and then the 9 garbage blocks I mentioned before. So this should go back and forth periodically if you've done everything correctly, like you see on the screen now. And if you find this very irritating, like I do, put in a block and a redstone torch on the right side here. Okay, off the side of this, next we're going to put a observer with its butt hanging out, like so it's facing towards the piston there. Next, you're gonna need to put some blocks underneath the observer like that. Then we're going to put a repeater facing directly out from the observer. Right in front of the repeater, we're gonna put an 11 block long strip. So you can put 1 block down, then count 5 in each direction. Then off the sides of this strip, we're kind of making a horseshoe shape. We're going to do 7 blocks. And we're going to cover the top completely in redstone dust. Next, what we're going to do is on our 7 block long horseshoe sides, we're going to go up 1 step with blocks just like that. Do that on both sides there. And we're also going to cover these with redstone dust as well. Next, we're going to set up the part that dispenses bone meal on moss, so like arguably the most important part of this. So from the middle, right where the repeater comes out, we're going to go out 2 blocks. We're going to put a note block down, and then we need an upward facing dispenser. You can then put a solid block on top of the note block, then on top of the dispenser there, your moss block. Lastly, you're going to put a piston where the head of the piston is facing towards the moss block on top, 2 blocks above the note block there. And then, of course, do not forget your redstone dust on the first 2 blocks, just like so. Okay, back to our sides here. Above every piece of redstone dust, like right here, we're going to put a piston facing upward on both sides. Okay, and then just on the other side of the pistons, we need observers facing towards the redstone dust both sides. On top of your observers, we're going to have observers that are facing down with their butts up in the air. And then we're going to put down stairs. Always make sure that the ones on the ends there are facing on the inside, and then the rest of them face towards the pistons. So you kind of get a ring action like that. Don't forget to do that on both sides. Now we're going to put some solid blocks on top of the observers on both sides, and then pistons on the inside of those blocks, right on top of our stairs, facing towards the center of the farm. What we're doing now is building a containment cell for our liquids, otherwise they'd be getting all over the place. So what we need to do is build essentially a rim around the bottom pistons and stairs, like that. We can bring up the sides another block tall, actually 3 blocks tall. You want blocks all along the top of your topmost pistons, and then with a space between, another rim on the outside like so, and we can bring this up 2 blocks. So now that we're at this point, what you can do is waterlog all the stairs on both sides there. So you should have flowing water coming out of all the stairs. And one piece of advice I give you is put some garbage blocks right here after you put the water in. Namely, before you put your lava in. Otherwise, it's going to flow out, burn you, possibly your house down. Been there, done that. It's a terrible time. Once the garbage blocks are in place, you can then put your lava down up here in the middle. Oh, crap. Once the lava is down, it should flow down into the chamber nice and elegantly. And we can make sure our contraption works by removing the redstone torch that we placed earlier. And everything should start moving. So what you should do is you should let this run for a little bit until the pad fills itself out. I suppose if you're real nitpicky about this kind of thing, you could fill it in yourself, but why not make the machine do it? All right, a full pad has been formed, so I'm going to put the torch back, shut this thing up. So the next step what we're going to do is we're actually going to fill the entire bottom side of this stone pad here with our building blocks. Leave the space above the moss block open. That needs airspace. Fill in the rest. Okay, so now what we're going to do is set up our flushing system. So on the same side as our hopper clock, next to our stone pad here, 7 building blocks on the same level as it. And then you can build up to the sides there. And let's do the back as well. And take your trapdoors and put them down and flip them up so that they're facing the inside, just like you see on screen here. And we could fill in water as well, just like so. And you might as well build up on the sides there a little bit more and fill the back here with redstone dust. So assuming that the hopper clock is the back of the farm, we're going to use the left side here. We're going to go to the back, and off of the topmost observers there, 2 blocks out. Then what we're going to do off the 2 blocks there, we're going to put a repeater and then redstone dust. So we're stealing the signal that eventually gets put into that block there. And we're going to step up twice and bring the redstone dust up with it. We can remove those blocks as well. Okay, at the top of our redstone steps here, we're going to have an upward pointing sticky piston with a target block on top. So what you're going to do from here is go 2 blocks out off the side of that sticky piston, then 3 blocks in this direction. We're gonna be building more there, so don't you worry about that. Now off the side of the target block, we're gonna have a redstone repeater set to 2 ticks. So you click it once, and then the rest of this can be redstone dust. At the end of our redstone dust lane there, we're going to make a pad of 3 by 2, just like so. And then what we could do is more towards the center of the farm, 1 block out, heading up into another block. It's a little awkward to describe. Then what we could do is 2 redstone dust right here, so you kind of get a little bit of an L shape. And then it doesn't really matter which direction's which, but you're going to need 2 comparators facing the opposite sides of each other. Make sure the redstone dust connects there. And 2 more dust on the other side, like so. Now we're going to take our repeater here and set this to 4 ticks, so the lever's all the way into the back like that. And on the side of this block facing towards the redstone dust from earlier, put a redstone torch. If you did everything right, the trapdoor should stay up and that redstone line should be powered. We could test to make sure we did this correctly, and you probably should. You probably should. And to do that, we could just remove our redstone torch from earlier. And we should see periodically that the trapdoors get flipped. We get a little pulse of water, just like so. So now at this point, you have a fully working moss farm. But we need to do a little bit more. So what I recommend that you do is you take your composters first and line them next to your building blocks, 7 across off the front, just like that. And you do that because it's easier to put your hoppers that go into the top. What you'll also want to do is put 2 blocks off to the side like that, and then along the top of the hoppers, walls. So now that you have your composters in place, what we're going to do is right off the second composter from the left, we're going to go on the inside here, and we're going to put a dropper facing off to the right, and make sure it's a dropper, not a dispenser. Now what we're going to do is hook up a hopper chain, all going into that dropper there. So you can always, of course, follow the tails. Make sure all the composters get hoppers at the bottom of them, all flowing to this dropper. So off the side of our dropper underneath here, we're going to need a 3 by 2 pad of stone, or whatever block. We're going to have a comparator coming out of the side of the dropper, leading directly into a repeater. Now what we're going to do is cover the rest with redstone dust, a target block. If you did this right, if you put in items into the dropper, it should spit them out just like that. So this next part can get a little messy, but I think you can figure it out. What we're going to do is going to start with a hopper going into our middle dispenser there. Then using our glass blocks, of course, they don't have to be glass blocks, but they look nice. We're going to do a little L shape connecting the hopper and the dropper together. Off the side of the hopper, we're going to do another little L shape like that. And what we could do is put a trapdoor right there. So here's why I call this a little messy. So now you're going to put glass walls along the bottom, or along the sides rather, to contain all of that. So now nothing should fall out. And then you're not done yet. You're going to put a water source right there. It should flow all the way to the end, getting stopped by the trapdoor, like so. Then, of course, what we could do is put in our chest and hopper. That's where all the excess bone meal is going to go. But we're not done yet. Not entirely. We got to put in our... We got to put in our on-off switch, of course. No redstone contraption is complete without the on-off switch. So what you're going to do is off the side of the block with the redstone torch that's shutting this whole thing off, we're going to make ourselves a trail here, going all the way to the front. Of course, there's many ways you could do this, but this is the best way, because it's my way. Put a lever right there on top of your redstone lamp. Then just connect the two. So now, when you flip your switch, the whole thing turns on. Except I forgot to mention, you're going to need to feed it a little bone meal to get it going. Oops. Well, I'm sure you could have figured that out all on your own. We just put in a little bit of bone meal there. It's going to start working. It's going to start cranking away. And there you have it, everybody. The Mr. Bear Bun's original moss farm / bone meal farm in the flesh. Or the brick, rather. Let me know what you all think about it down in the comments down below. Did you build it in your world? How well did it work? Did all your friends say ooh and ah? I'm all ears. I want to know. I'm gonna go for now. And until next time, you all have a good one. Bye-bye for now. Ta-ta. Ta-ta.